doing today?
I made you a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
You made me a peanut butter Jill sandwich?
I said jelly.
You said Jill sandwich.
Yeah, I did.
Did you? Beautiful sandwich. This is a peanut butter and Jill. Is it recording?
Yes.
This is a peanut butter and Jill sandwich. Crusty. Since the PS4 and Xbox One launched, there have literally been dozens of remakes of games that were already available beforehand. Developers do this for the sake of making extra well-deserved money to experiment with next-gen consoles and to have these experiences available to a new generation of gamers. The Last of Us, Grand Theft Auto 5, Grim Fandango, Saints Row 4, Sleepy Dogs, Tomb Raider, and the majority of the Halo series are only a handful of games that received a remake on new hardware. So, remakes aren't anything new. What is new is a remake of a remake. I would ask you to guess what game I'm talking about, but you read the title and you've seen the footage, you're not stupid. Don't worry, I believe in you. This is
Resident Evil.
Yes, this is Resident Evil. In 1996, the original Resident Evil was released on the PlayStation 1. This was published by Capcom and was created by the now legendary Shinji Mikami. The game basically created the term survival horror and has had a tremendous impact on the gaming industry. Resident Evil soon turned to a monster of a franchise that forgets what made it so great, and also has a giant line of terrible movie spin-offs. In 2002, Capcom remade Resident Evil for the GameCube. For its time and many years after, it had the best graphics most people had ever seen. Its incredibly tense atmosphere, sound design, and tweaks to the puzzles and gameplay not only makes this hands down the best remake of any game ever, but it is also one of the scariest games I have ever played. So, the big question is, does the HD re-release of a 13-year-old game based on a 20-year-old game still hold up today? Why, yes. Yes, it does. This is where it all started. So, the game takes place during 1998 in Raccoon City. Recently, there have been bizarre murder cases around the Arklay Mountains. What's most shocking about these victims? They seem to have been eaten. Gasp! You are a member of STARS. Bravo team is missing and it's up to you to find them. But instead, you find a pack of the creepiest dogs of all time. You and your team run away from them and end up finding a mansion to hide in. From then on, it's up to you to survive. Welcome to survival horror. You could choose from either two characters, Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine. Each character has their own story and experience different events, but from a larger standpoint, their stories are pretty much the same. If you've ever played any other Resident Evil game, you might have a good idea of what's about to happen, probably predicting the two plot twists in the end. But after going through this entire game again, it's amazing to see how stories that aren't shoved down your throat can still be intriguing and satisfying. There are a handful of characters, but they are never given the chance to shine. While Jill and Chris are terrific characters in my eyes, this Resident Evil game doesn't show what makes it so special because the story takes a backseat, which is fine by me. The characters that have the most personality and character growth are Barry Burton and Albert Wesker. You'll learn to love these characters, but it will take some time. The dialogue and voice acting feel a little campy, and sometimes is downright comical, but they aren't nearly as terrible as they were in the original version of the game. My girlfriend and I were pretty disappointed though when Barry didn't say Jill sandwich. Instead, he said,
"Close one. A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich."
So hopefully that improvised intro makes a little more sense now. When the original remastered version of the game came out in 2002, it was regarded as one of the best looking games of all time. Even now the game holds up remarkably well. The HD version of the game running on next-gen consoles still looks very good, although it's easy to tell that this is an older game. The incredible lighting, detailed backdrops, and polished character models only assist in making this game one of the most atmospheric and scariest games of all time. Spencer's mansion has a consistent color palette and interesting vibe to it, but later on you move into some places that are unexpected and even more terrifying. And because I love you all, no spoilers as to what these places are. Going back to the game's atmosphere, even today it's still unmatched when it comes to the foreboding feeling you get by walking through incredibly claustrophobic rooms. Hearing the zombies' moans, thunder through the windows, and the very scary soundtrack keep you on edge the entire time. Even from a guy like me that memorized the layout and jump scares in the original iteration of the game, when I played the remake for the first time, I stopped playing after 15 minutes because I was so scared. After a couple days, I learned to cope with myself and continued the game. It's that good. The camera angles that change as you play also provide tense moments of not knowing what's around the next corner. However, these camera angles are a double-edged sword. While it makes the entire experience much more terrifying, it doesn't work so well when it comes to gameplay. Resident Evil's HD gameplay mechanics remain largely unchanged from the original. You walk around the mansion, shoot zombies and other types of monsters while conserving ammo, and solve very impractical puzzles. First things first, walking. You walk around the mansion using tank controls. For those of you who don't know what they are, when you want to walk forward, regardless of where the camera is and what direction you're facing, you hold the up button on the D-pad. When you click left or right, your character moves left or right from their point of view. This is an example of very outdated game design, but after an hour or so you start to get used to it. New to the HD remake, you can also walk with the analog stick. Moving the stick in any direction moves the character in that direction from your perspective. While this may seem nice, when the camera switches or the perspective changes, your character will bounce back and forth, causing this control scheme to become only more frustrating than tank controls. It's only useful for quick maneuvers during combat. What's cool is that both control schemes are available simultaneously, so you can switch between the D-pad and the analog stick as you're playing. As you walk around the mansion, your map is always updating with you. When you open a door to a new room, you see a 3-second animation of you opening the door. While this may sound time-consuming and pointless, it creates true tension. You have no idea what's on the other side of that door. Although I will admit, when you run around through some parts of the mansion multiple times, it does become annoying. Now this leads to one of the game's most noticeable problems, backtracking. You will be circling around this mansion multiple times. The main reason you'll be backtracking is because of the game's inventory system. Your character can only carry a certain amount of items at once. There are multiple magical storage banks around the mansion. If you store an item in there, they become accessible through all the other storage banks. Now I don't mind having to carry a certain amount of items, but when your necessary items is a weapon, ammo, a key, an herb for health, and ink ribbons for saving, that already takes up 5 out of 8 of your slots, or a measly 6 if you're playing as Chris. So because of this, you'll be constantly switching items every 10 minutes, and this quickly becomes aggravating. To shoot at zombies, you point the gun at the zombies' general direction, keep your fingers crossed, and hope you get them. You can't walk while aiming, so there are many moments where it's up to you to find out whether you should take another shot, or move back and keep some distance between you and the monster. Because you have a limited amount of ammo, you're going to have to be careful with these monsters. Speaking of monsters, the Resident Evil series is known to have some of the best enemy design in gaming. While I won't spoil the incredible enemies and bosses you'll meet later in the game, one of the earliest variations of zombies you'll see are Crimson Heads. When a zombie isn't properly killed, after a certain amount of time they come back from the dead, moving at twice the speed and becoming much more deadly. These things are scary to fight and definitely make retreading through previously explored areas slightly frightening. There are multiple puzzles throughout the game, and from a practical standpoint, they're ridiculous. And these same puzzles are also very hard to figure out. Think this one through. In order to get a key you need to open half the doors of the mansion with, you need to grab a whistle, walk to a specific point in the map, blow the whistle, kill the dog, grab its collar, and click this button that magically transforms it into a fake key. Then you go to this random place in the mansion, pick up the real key, then these statues with spinning blades will move and tear you apart. You place a fake key in the spot where you found the real key and everything goes back to the way it was before. Believe me, these puzzles are f***ed. So like the last game I reviewed, Metal Gear Solid, don't feel ashamed if you need to use a walkthrough to get through the game. Some of its gameplay mechanics were established a long time ago, so you shouldn't be expected to know how some of these work by now. The game takes around 5 to 14 hours to complete. I know that's a huge time gap, but it all depends on your skill and the amount of times you die and backtrack through the game. Replay value consists of viewing the game's multiple endings, only one of which are canon, and playing as the other character, which is honestly reason enough to play the game again. You can play at different difficulties and even try to beat the game under a strict time limit. Example, if you beat the game under 5 hours, you are rewarded with a rocket launcher with unlimited ammo, which is pretty awesome. You can also try to get yourself placed on the leaderboard through your speedruns, but good luck with that. With the survival horror genre slowly coming back from the dead, a remake of Resident Evil couldn't come at a more perfect time. If you have fond memories of the original Resident Evil, or have played other installments of the series and happen to miss out on the original, then you should most definitely pick up this game. For everyone else, however, it's up to you. If you have the time and skill to experience the best survival horror game of all time, consider and give this game a try, no matter how outdated some of it is compared to more modern games. And for a download price of only $20, who can say no? Resident Evil HD receives an 8.75 out of 10. Thank you for watching Bathroom Gamers. Future videos include the Apotheon review, which is free for all PlayStation Plus members, possibly a new Nintendo 3DS XL review, and the Order 1886 review. If you subscribe to the channel, I will love you forever. And for those that are already subscribed, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for watching, and stay fresh.